All right, as we start our adventure today, it's been several couple weeks as the Navajo crew has been essentially cataloging gaseous anomalies in essentially space dust. Their current visitor has made her home in Holodeck 2 for the past couple weeks. While she hasn't been a nuisance, um, she still is sort of a present eye on board the Navajo. But with that, I think, Captain, if you would give us a log to start us off.
All right. Captain's log, USS Navajo, stardate 48695.4. Captain David Perone reporting. Alonia seems to have taken up permanent residence on board the Navajo with no sign of leaving anytime soon. And despite us giving her VIP quarters, she seems to be enjoying holodeck 2 instead of her own quarters. While she's been an inconvenience at times, she has shown herself to be useful when she's willing to. Aside of turning the ship into her personal pleasure craft, the Navajo has been ordered to the Independent Trade Outpost in the Lysara System to open negotiations with the Valerians for acquisition of materials crucial to the development of the Gemulon V colony. And log.
All right, I will open the table up for the Nava crew for some role play. Currently, let us say your EXO is occupied since he's not here today. And Solok is probably somewhere in main engineering.
All right then. Well, Mr. Vogel, what do we know about the Lysaran system since we're headed there?
Me go ahead and check our files, Captain. And then, Jim, I'll check to see what we know about the system. There it is. The database doesn't have much on it, Captain, other than it seems to be an independently run trade port. The Valerians are involved in running of the port of the trade port. It would seem.
Well, it's always fun learning about our neighbors the old-fashioned way, walking up and saying hello. Good to have you back at the helm, Lieutenant. How was that command training seminar I sent you to?
It was long, sir, but rewarding. I am glad to be back at my post.
I imagine they still do those hideous team building exercises at the beginning of every day.
Yes, and it would seem that they have been working to try to get them a couple of times a day. Why Friday there seems to be 4 of those team building exercises.
Oh, I hated those. The only one that was any fun was the knot, where we all held hands and tied ourselves into a big knot, and then had to be the first team to unknot ourselves without breaking our hold. But that was fun because my team won, and we got the rest of the afternoon off on Fridays.
I was never a fan of the trust falls myself. One time a cadet I was with wasn't quite speedy enough. It's never recovered.
And I always got paired up with that one other officer that thought he was a prankster, would always step to the side. It became a running joke of my class. Who's gonna let Perone fall this time? And that's what I learned. You always partner with the Vulcans. No sense of humor.
If our Commander Solak is any indication.
Yeah, but at least he made good pies.
Captain, if you don't mind, I'd like to have a moment of your time. If you're not too busy.
Certainly.
FYI, she's one of the counselors on board the ship.
Oh, good. I was just playing along, pretending I recognized her. The player is playing any mighty mo on who I want to give the con to. I haven't given it to Rye in a while. Mr. Rye, you have the con. I'll be right back.
Yes, sir.
To the ready room?
To the ready room. To the back cave. No, the ready room.
Oh, back gate. Okay, back gate. Got it. Da-da-da-da.
Mr. Baxter, what can I do for you?
Captain, a little concerned about our guest and her effect among the crew.
Go ahead.
She seems to have total control over Holodeck 2, limiting other members of the crew with their own chance for activities outside of duty and whatnot.
Certainly an understandable concern, but the tone of your voice tells me that there's more.
When confronted about leaving the holodeck and venturing into other avenues, she seems very resistant.
And how so? Just outright refusal or excuse making?
Granted, she is borderline a omnipotent being. She has conjured walls within the holodeck, sometimes almost breaking some of the holodeck's systems to blockade herself inside.
That seems peculiar behavior for a being that apparently worried the Q continuum. What's your professional opinion?
given what I've known from the logs, she's been isolated for centuries. And in fact, from your own log, she's been alone for a very long time. Putting on personas of grandeur status, I would say she's having a identity crisis. To put it short.
Seems reasonable. Is she using the holodeck as a holodeck, creating friends for herself, or is she just holding up by herself?
From my understanding, she is put up one of the beach resort simulations and has one of the holodeck characters fanning her and delivering drinks constantly, and doesn't seem to be moving from that spot.
What do you recommend? Do you think she needs a real friend?
Yes.
And I take it you're not volunteering.
Professionally, it would be a bad idea, but I have tried to coerce her into making friends. She does not seem interested, nor does she seem interested in conversations with me or any of the other counselors on board the ship.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming to me with this. I will find a suitable volunteer to be our guest's BFF for the remainder of her stay, however long that may be. I don't suppose you have any recommendations, and don't you dare say me.
That may be inappropriate, but maybe talking with her occasionally, letting her know that there are some ground rules that we have to follow on board the ship, especially about the holodeck usage, might be in order. Um, Maybe perhaps suggest a volunteer from the senior staff.
That seems like a reasonable idea. I'll have to put some thought into it. Was there anything else?
No, sir. Um, if you need to talk to me about the situation further, just let me know. I will offer you my guidance the best I can with this unusual case.
Well, I appreciate that. You're doing good work down there.
Thank you, sir. Am I excused?
Yeah, you are dismissed. Captain will follow her out and go back to the bridge as he looks around and picks out his victim. I mean, volunteer. Thank you, Lieutenant Ryan. Well, Lieutenant Azanon, well, I've read your personnel file. You're still relatively new to the bridge crew. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us a little about yourself that we can't read, that we couldn't read in your personnel file.
Well, Captain, there's not much else to say that isn't in my personnel file. I do my best not to put a stain on the name of Starfleet. Let's put it that way.
That's a decent trait. But what's most important? Do you fish?
No, I don't fish. I mean, well, I understand the pastime from you pinkskins. I don't fish.
All right. To each his own, I suppose. You ever been fishing?
Once.
Maybe you just haven't been doing it right. Like,
What, I'm not supposed to throw grenades in the pond?
not while the game warden's watching.
Huh. Maybe that's why I didn't get anything.
Once in Vogel, tell me how you learn any good interpersonal skills at that command training I sent you to.
It was a whole week seminar, sir.
Excellent, excellent. Commander Stevens still run that class?
Yes, sir. And he's as ornery as you remember him, I'm sure.
Well, that's what made his class fun. But I remember him as an excellent instructor. You know what? I want to see. I really want to test how good an instructor he still is. So I think I've got the perfect job to test that out for you. Do you like a challenge, Lieutenant Ensign?
I feel like this is a trick question, sir.
Oh, no. I don't give trick questions. I mean, unless I'm asking people if they like to fish. I mean, that's always a trick question. The answer is always yes. Unless you're the new guy on the bridge, and then I guess he doesn't know the right answer. So what is this? What is this incredible learning opportunity and challenge, you ask me? I'd be happy to tell you, Ensign. You've met our guest that's taken up residence in Holodeck 2. You have, yes?
GM, have I? I don't recall.
Briefly,
My interaction with her is has been rather brief, sir.
Well, it's time that we change that. So I think what I'm told is that she's one is begun nesting in holodeck 2, and by that I just mean she's camped out there and won't leave, even despite the fact that we've given her really nice quarters. Um, and she may be slightly unstable from being in solitude for so long. I think she needs a friend. You see where I'm going with this, right, Ensign Vogel?
Yes, sir, I believe I do.
Excellent. I appreciate you being willing to take on this task. Mostly just see if you can get her out of holodeck 2. It's cutting into everyone's recreation time. That and she really may just need a friend. She's not used to people, being around people.
Sir, I will do my best to try to get our guest out of the holodeck so that you can enjoy your fishing program, no doubt.
You got to put your priorities straight. And after a few weeks of staring at gaseous anomalies, I need a fishing trip. Though I'm sure Commander Rye has been enjoying the last few weeks quite a bit.
I mean, it's definitely scientifically fascinating. I will admit, after a point, dust is dust. But some things can be. You can find something in anything if you look hard enough.
True enough. Well, as things continue to deteriorate with the Dominion, we should probably enjoy these nice, easy missions while we can. Well, Ensign, I'll we go on down to holodeck 2 and I'll introduce you to our guest formally.
Aye, sir.
Commander Rye, you have the con.
Hi, sir.
I can't drag Garl's token on for some reason.
You head down to the holodeck. As you enter the holodeck, the doors open. You see a lovely scenery of a beach, resort. Seems somewhere, particularly on Earth. You see essentially a steward, or came out of way, holding a fan, and Alonia sitting in a chair, just lounging around.
Alunia, good day. You've picked a lovely spot to camp out.
I kind of like these holodecks. Even though they're not conscious, they do whatever you tell them to do. It's quite lovely.
Is that really important to you?
It's convenient.
but a little empty, don't you think?
Well, I suppose. But there's no fuss. No one to come up and growl at your feet. Tell you, oh, I need this. Will you please help me? Bring back my dead wife.
Is that a problem for you?
Well, there are things within out of reach of my own powers.
Well, it sounds like it could get droll after a while, and I understand. Sir, can I have leave? Wife's having a baby, any time off? I get it. Since she's facing the other way, away from Perone and Vogel, Perone will just shake his head no at her, like, let her know I don't really need that. So it seems, Alunia, that you've decided to stay with us for a while, unless you've given some thought as to where you want to go next.
I kind of like it here. It's nice. It's peaceful.
Well, it's nice and peaceful in the holodeck. Though I've got to warn you, the 24-hour a day for multiple days in a row is kind of hard on the holodeck systems. Eventually, they're going to need to be taken down for maintenance. Just FYI. But since you're going to be with us for a while, I think it's important, my duty as a captain, to get you acclimated to Federation and Starship life. Give you someone who's not just an empty bag of photons to talk to occasionally. Not someone to boss around, but someone to help you acclimate to your stay aboard the ship for however long that'll take. And to that end, I'd like to introduce you to Ensign Sarah Vogel, who is going to give you the grand tour, because we really haven't shown you around, and tell you about life in the Federation and help you get. I mean, you were in that awful place for quite a while, weren't you?
Honestly, could centuries, hundreds of centuries, thousands. Hard to say.
Sounds dreadful.
It was.
But a lot of time has passed, and customs and behaviors and things like that have changed in hundreds of thousands of centuries. And Ensign Vogel's job here would be to help you acclimate to the current time. Well, okay. Then, Ensign, I'm going to leave Alunia here in your very capable hands.
Thank you, sir.
The captain will lower his voice to where only Vogel here says, "No, you cannot throw her out an airlock."
Vogel will just kind of smirk back.
And the captain will leave the holodeck and leave Alunia in Vogel's capable hands. Whole time thinking of how he's thinking in his head, I have no idea. I'm going to make this up to Vogel.
Hi, Alunia, is it?
Yes. And you are Ensign Sarah Vogel.
It's Lieutenant now, actually.
Oh, that's right. Promotion. Sorry.
So, why don't you tell me a bit about yourself?
What would you like to know?
I guess just about you. I've been off the ship for a few months. I don't think we've gotten the opportunity to be properly acquainted.
Well, I am Alinea, the last of her kind, as my species was, well, rudely annihilated and then imprisoned for near all eternity.
Huh. Sorry, I don't really know what to say. So, why the holodeck?
She just kind of looks behind you, and you see a more disturbed and angry face, before her from a slight smile as she had before. What is your kind doing here?
Well, here to help the lieutenant. You want a drink, Lieutenant?
And who might you be?
I'm Kuvaros. I'm from the Continuum. I assume you've been briefed.
Afraid not.
Q Continuum? Doesn't Starfleet do all that briefing stuff? Like you have little files and they tell you to read things?
I mean, I've heard stories of Q,
Yeah, they're
but you don't
probably
look anything like him.
no. Different division of the Q. But here's the great news for you, Vogel. I'm here to help.
And what kind of help are you offering? I'm sorry, what did you say your name again was?
Kuvaros.
Cuvaris.
Yeah, I came up with it on my own. I kind of like it, rather than just the standard Q. Really, our names are fourth dimensional mathematical equations that can't be really projected into the third dimension, but Hey, everybody's got a limitation, right?
I was just going to say somehow that's fitting. Anyway, back to my original question. How exactly are you here to help me?
Well, looks like you've uncorked somebody who, well, it looks like they're having trouble sort of adjusting to their current existence. I'm certainly vaguely aware of what's been going on in your ship. Let's say the Continuum recently assigned me a job to look into this and help out as I could. GM, how is she reacting to me?
Uh, she is. You could tell she is very tense, but almost like she's now trying to ignore you entirely.
I'm not here to see to your re-imprisonment. I didn't have anything to do with that.
But something tells me the Q did.
Apparently, her imprisonment was a Q event. I never got the memo, so you know. You know how Starfleet just kind of gives you a job and sends you down the hallway to do it? Q equivalent of that. I just got the assignment today. Although I
Uh-huh.
think Captain's a funny guy and he likes to fish.
Maybe you should. You know, the captain has been dying to go on a fishing trip. Perhaps,
Well,
perhaps you should take him.
all those things can be arranged, but this is significant that she has grown into her power, and certainly I'm here to help out.
And if Alunia does not want your help,
Well, let's cross those bridges if we have to. But for the moment, I think I can tell Lilunia that re-imprisonment is not what the Continuum is interested in. The expansion of her abilities places her in a unique position. We want to foster her abilities. I'll sit down on the chaise lounge next to Vogel.
oh,
Is
I'm standing. Vogel's standing.
Vogelstein. He sits down and is kind of looking at Alunia. Is she responding at all, or
She seems to be trying to ignore you.
right? Wow, she's not very engaged. Been in this holodeck for a while, as I take it, right, Vogel?
Listen, Cuvaris. Clearly, something happened between her and the Q that happened
Long.
millennia ago.
Yes, correct. Uh, her people were GM. What's the quick on this? They were imprisoned because the Q felt threatened by them, or
Long story short, they fought almost a war. Um, they were all annihilated except for her. She was imprisoned because she was the strongest, and they had problems eliminating her.
okay. So Vogel, the quick of it, there was a war. Her people warred with the Q, and she was the last and imprisoned. But hey, that was a long time ago, and as she well knows, after war, there is negotiation and peace. I'm here to do that. I know it runs contrary to the path that most Q pursue, but I'm here to convince her there's other routes, better ways. Very Federation-y and Starfleet-y.
Vogel's just going to kind of glance at Aluna, see if anything he's saying is resonating at all.
She sighs, takes her glasses off, and says, "You want to negotiate? You imprisoned me. Creatures fed upon my very being, to the point that I am now in this weakened state. And you come bearing a gift of peace? Don't be
Well,
ridiculous."
don't judge it too fast. You know, it was war. Your people were engaged in it. But I'm here to potentially offer you another route. But boxing yourself in the middle of a Nebula-class starship, floating tin can in space, isn't exactly a great solution, right?
Listen, Q-Vars.
Yeah.
Clearly, there's a history between the Q and Alunia.
Yes.
Perhaps just jumping in, trying to force her to get her to do whatever it is you and the Q are planning, might not be the best way to handle this.
No, I'm not interested in forcing, but I do want to honestly open negotiations with her. And, well, you all have a vested interest in this situation as well.
My only vested interest is the safety and happiness of our guest here.
Very good. I'm not necessarily interfering with that, although probably do bring a whole bunch of negative issues up, but I think that she could benefit from interacting with me.
And if she decides to, that'll be her choice. But let's look at the reality of the situation, Q-Vars. She has been imprisoned by your people for millennia. This is her first taste of freedom in all that time. How she wishes to spend it is her business, right?
Yes. Now, I can increase her freedom. I'm not here to limit it.
So you're just trying to control me.
No. I'm ultimately here with an offer, but we've got to get past the past, so to speak.
All right, well, how about this? How about you leave the offer with me, and when Aluna's ready to look at it, we will discuss it further then.
I'd like to hang out here for a bit and see if she and I can get to more common ground, if you wouldn't mind. I mean, I don't see that that's a negative in a diplomatic situation.
What seems to be the hurry?
It's not that there's a hurry. And I'm willing to let you do your thing if you want. You got this, Vogel?
The captain gave me a job much like you, and I'm going to try to fulfill those orders to the best of my ability.
Fair enough. Consider me an asset to you. I'll be like you were, an ensign. He'll look over at her and say, a lot has changed since your imprisonment. I certainly understand how you'd feel and how you'd see this situation.
How I see and understand the situation?
Oh, yeah.
I just want to be left alone. I want to be by myself. How hard is it to just be alone? How about all of you just leave as she gets up and the room starts to shake?
I'm going to counter her. I'm just going to counter. I'm not going to make any changes to the environment or, fuck with the quantum bubbles in the room or anything, but I will counter her. So.
Look, Cuvaris, obviously you're upsetting her. Please, just give me some time. We could always talk about this in the future.
I'll back off a bit here and let you do some chatting. I'll head down the beach for a little bit. How's that? Does that work? Do your thing, Lieutenant.
And Vogel will just kind of give out a large sigh. What did the captain sign me up for? And I'll just sit at the edge of this one here.
While that's going on, we're gonna head back to the bridge of the ship. Whoever is playing Gara, you doing that, Vogel?
Yeah. Captain! Oh, is the captain on the bridge? Captain, we're finally within visual range of the training station. You can put it on the screw viewer if you want.
Oh god, we are within 5 feet of each other. You don't need to shout.
Excellent.
I'm sorry if my voice cuts through your primitive Vulcan ears.
This is not a good day to have a head cold. Okay.
Thank you, Ensign. If it's not beyond your meager abilities, let's see it.
As the GM realized I should have probably did something for the view screen. On screen appears, as you enter the system, you see essentially a giant spaceport that's kind of been encased in a small dwarf-sized planet. A metal structure ring kind of orbits around, well, not orbits, but is partially around it, with struts going into the asteroid itself. Several ships flow in and out of not several ships, but several ships are docked at it. A few ships are leaving, and coming in.
Well, Commander Rye, give us a scan. Let's make sure there aren't any old friends around here.
Aye, Captain.
Captain, we're getting a hail from the station.
Put it on screen.
Aye, sir.
It's audio only. This is Lysara Station. Do you have an appointment?
This is Captain Perone of the USS Navajo. We do not have an appointment. We're looking to open negotiations for materials that we need for our nearby colony.
Understood. Do you require provisions and or repairs to your vessel?
Not this time. I guess all we really need is permission to beam aboard or dock, and directions to the nearest trade center.
There are several individuals here that might be willing to trade with you. Do you have anyone in mind?
Well, not at the moment. We want to give it. Want to make things free for all bidders that wish to are interested in doing business with the Federation.
Understood. You may proceed to docking port 42. Recommend the local tavern pub. You might find a few independent merchants who might be willing to trade with you there. Good day.
Thank you. Navajo out. Well, Mr. Corral, take us to that docking port.
With pleasure, Captain. This seems like my kind of place.
Absolutely. Try not to scratch the paint.
Scans show nothing out of the ordinary, Captain. Merchant vessels. What would you expect?
Very good. Any particular species vessels stand out to you? I'd like to be forewarned if I'm going to have to deal with the Ferengi.
I'll double check, sir, but with all due respect, it is a trade outpost. Odds are good.
Well, maybe we can buck the odds today.
You want to identify the merchant vessels?
Yeah, just see if there's any any species, again, like Ferengi specifically, or anything we wouldn't expect in this sector, I guess.
It's pretty much everything you'd expect, but if you want to identify them, this will be like a reason con roll, assisted by the ship's computers con.
Okay. Using con. Can I use my focus as starship recognition?
Yeah.
Two successes.
Gain a momentum.
Standard array, Ferengi, Orion, several Federation merchant vessels, a few Klingon, Valerian.
That doesn't sound like a bad mixture. I like Klingons.
Oh, we know.
All right, well, once we dock, I think the captain will assemble an away team since it looks like he's going to be the one to go. And unfortunately, Vogel's busy. Ha ha ha. Well, out of character, I'll give you a choice, right? Do you want to man the bridge, or do you want to come pub crawling with the captain?
That's a tough one. I think I want to do Rye, so let's pup crawl.
All right, Commander Rye, Lieutenant Zonin, you're with me. You two up for a little pub crawl?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Although I highly doubt I'll be able to get any Andorian ale out here.
It is a trade outpost. You never know.
Yeah, true.
All right, Vogel. Who else would you like the captain to take along with him?
Oh, that's a good point. You got security, you got the sciences covered. Help if I looked in the correct ship.
Counselor might be useful. Might help the
Yeah, I was looking at
negotiation.
Yeah, I was looking at the medicals, seeing what we got. We could probably bring Daniel Hale.
All right.
No problems here.
And the captain will radio down to send a message down to the counseling office and tell Mr. Hale to meet him and Vi and Azonin and docking port appropriate.
Unless we need an engineer for some reason. I just thought of that. Solok's not here.
Hopefully we won't need an engineer.
I mean, my engineering's 3 and sucks, so I mean, I could spot check
Yeah.
anything major.
Here we go. We got
Yep.
Rye. We'll grin and fake it.
All right, I do have to go mobile though.
I'll put it this way: you don't have Latinum per se. You're here to open trade agreements with the Valerians for the list of goods. So it could be other sources if you can get him to agree. You know, whoever you're trading with, agree to.
Fair enough. The captain will just kind of look around at the crowd, thinking, okay, Noskins, Ferengi, Lions.
Well, you recognize some of these people, don't we? I love the random Orion names. Unamused, jealous, surprised.
It reminds me of a module I have that does that with goblins and orcs.
I'm getting a little feedback from you.
Sorry.
Sorry, not you.
All right. Well, let's head to the bar. We don't look conspicuous at all in Starfleet uniforms.
Don't typically get Starfleet around these parts. What can I get you? And no, it's not free. I assume you have the Latinum to pay for it.
That's a good question. Do you have to at least have enough Latinum to buy drinks?
Sure.
Of course. Would not come to a trading outpost without anything to trade. Blood wine for me and whatever my crew wants.
Blood wine, huh? Haven't heard that one yet.
Bruno, look down the bar at the Klingons sitting at the table over there and go, really?
Well, from a human.
Bruno,
They're brewing whiskey?
look at Ryan and the doctor next to him and go, well, at least he pronounced it right.
Yeah, with the H, that's definitely new.
He sits down and or sits on a big mug of blood wine. Are you sure you can handle this drink? Or are you just trying to look tough
Are you sure you didn't water it down?
You would hope. That'd be 5 slips.
5 slips, you bet damn well better not have watered it down. And Pro put 3 on the bar, says, let me make sure before I pay you the full ride for it, though.
He holds the mug. 5.
Well,
Pay now.
if you're not gonna let me taste it first, then bartender, then at least make it 4. I am taking a risk here.
A sip.
Well, Perona, take a decent sized sip. Is the blood wine any good at least?
It could have been fermented a few more years, but it's decent.
Yep, Perona will give him the appropriate latinum. It's just, that's I'll pay it, but that's highway robbery for this particular vintage.
Try paying for the expenditures to get blood wine out this far.
You got Klingon traders in your bar. Make a deal. Isn't that what your people are good at?
I have a deal. It's rather lucrative. But my business is none of yours. Now, what do your friends want to drink?
No, I'm not a betazoid.
Johnny Walker on the rocks.
And the Zonan's going to look at him and go, Aldebaran whiskey.
What does this look like? A Federation outpost?
Well, at least it's not Andorian ale.
Okay, I'll simplify. Whiskey on the rocks.
Huh. Never heard of it.
Whiskey or Johnny Walker?
Both.
You actually should try it.
You know, this fella is nowhere. This bartender is nowhere near as well set up as that fella Quark back on DS9.
Quark. You know Quark?
I've done business with him a time or two.
I own 2 moons, thank you kindly. Compared to that squatter around who only owns a bar.
Ah, but he has decent blood wine, and he knows what whiskey is.
Don't get normal
Fine.
Federation types here, except for those human traders.
Okay. Put something in a glass that has alcohol and then throw some ice on it.
Alright. He rummages through and pours what looks like almost kind of like whiskey. Sets it down, each for the rest of the crew and says, that'll be 9 slips.
Here you go.
Enjoy. And he walks up, servings up, make sure the rest of the compatriots have drinks in their hands and whatnot.
I mean, I knew Johnny Walker was a stretch, but I figured whiskey would at least be here.
Yeah, we're a long way from Earth.
True.
Though, Quark usually has some.
He does. I've been looking to see get some Johnny Walker Blue from him, but we just haven't been back yet.
Well, Perona's gonna look over the crowd in the bar and see if he can decide on a likely prospect that's probably not Orion to do business with.
Give me insight plus command difficulty 2.
I will foolishly give you a threat. I'm gonna fish get a reroll for that.
I mean, maybe not so foolish.
There we go.
You see as you look around the room, most of them are all, dressed pretty raggedly, like they've been in space for a while. Except for the two behind you, who seem to be talking in a booth, and one is wearing very lavish clothing and jewelry, while the other one is, the Orion is a little bit more in a slightly, I guess, modest outfit.
So you say ragged on the clothing and whatnot. Is that, as again, because you qualified it with like they've been in space for a while? Is it like they haven't had laundry day in a while, or do they look like they're
It's just
hard
like,
up for business?
well, it just looks like it's, they haven't replaced their clothing in a while. Like, they don't smell outside of the maybe not like super putrid type smell, but they're essentially, space merchants. Like, they don't care how they look type deal. They could be merchants, they could be crew members, it's hard to say.
I feel like I'm in the Mos Eisley cantina looking for passage of the Alderon system.
Okay, Captain, you'd only get one of those, right?
Well, yeah, I'm on duty.
Oh no, I meant the Star Wars reference.
Oh, well, if I got to use it on something.
Fair. So we want to go buy the fancy people, or do we want to look around?
Might want to spread it around a little. While I'm partial to Klingons, I'm not. But we do need medical supplies and pharmaceuticals. I'm not sure the Klingons are the best source for that. But they've got a fairly solid mining industry. Maybe we can split this up among several merchants. Well, you know where I'm going to start. I'm going to go. Let's go have a talk with the Klingons and see if their captain is looking for a new contract.
You want to go alone for that one, or?
You can come if you want to.
Yeah, I might as well.
We'll see if Mr. Azanon will actually let me walk over there by myself.
Definitely not. The moment you take a step in that direction, he immediately follows you.
Yep, Prono walk up to the Klingons and greet them in Klingon. Probably like his one of two or three phrases he actually knows.
The three just kind of look at you.
I'm looking to set up business, looking for merchants that might be interested in doing business with the Federation. You three think your captain, unless one of you is the captain, would be interested in at least a short-term contract.
And what do you have to offer us? Well, assuming we have what you're looking for.
That's the question, isn't it? Yeah. Sure. Looking for supplies to help get a colony set up. I need heavy-duty metals, uranium, tritium, duranite, some geothermal power cells, mining equipment, maybe some construction drones.
Tall order. Try somewhere else. We deal with blood wine.
Captain just says, I'll keep that in mind. You're not the one supplying this Ferengi with it, are you?
Yes. I see you partake in it. So at least you know what we offer. Now,
I do know.
if you want more premium blood wine, well, I'm sure we can accommodate a distinguished Starfleet captain such as yourself.
Absolutely gonna have to come back and talk to you about that, but duty first. One of the things I appreciate about Klingons is you do understand duty first.
Of course. Only, before a good battle. Kapla!
Kapla. Captain he'll follow Rye, who seems to have wandered over to the humans.
I mentioned blown wine. I was kind of out.
Good day.
Ah, good day, Captain. Perone, is it not? We met.
We have. You'll have to refresh my memory. I meet a lot of people.
You helped us
The
out of the...
Cardassians.
Uh,
Yeah.
surprised seeing you here.
Yeah, I'm slightly surprised seeing me here, but I got looking to open up trade negotiations, get some supplies for a new colony that's founding, and Federation sent me out to make trade arrangements here.
Oh yes, the Gemulon V colony. I've heard about it. Now, particularly don't really have any cargo to sell you, but I'd be more than happy to ship it if you can find a reputable dealer. For a modest fee, of course.
Of course, the Federation. We're not about getting by without paying our way. Or at least the colony isn't. You hate to use an old line, but you come here often.
Occasionally, when we need to pick up cargo from the Valerians, it's lucrative at times.
Fair enough. You got any recommendations for merchants that might dabble in heavy metals, construction equipment, replicator technology, that sort of thing?
Talk to Zin. He's down there in the corner with the armed guards. He might have what you're looking for.
Fair enough. I'll give it a try. And when I'm looking for someone to haul cargo, I'll keep you in mind.
He just gives you a nod.
Captain will walk away thinking, where do I know that guy from?
As you're walking away, Rye will. Okay, so you remember the Cardassians who had thought there was a ship that was smuggling cargo?
That's
It
that
actually
guy?
was. Yeah, that was the captain that they were interrogating.
Oh, we ought to get good rates from him. He owes us.
He did say modest. I'd say that's pretty good.
No, better than we're going to get from the Ferengi.
That's fair. Also not hard, but fair.
I mean, seriously, this 5 strips for this blood wine? Highway robbery.
I'll take your word for it, sir.
You should. It's not that good.
Um,
We give the security guy a heart attack. Just run around the Nausicaans.
Ryan's going to intentionally hold back unless you say come with me and just sort of be in the area. Just kind of like vibing.
This Perun will step up. Is Grumpy Orion there? He is not dressed like a guard. He's just kind of in the way, is he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I assume it's the 2 guards. Yeah.
As you try to get past, like, wait your turn. He kind of shoves you back.
No. Were you in line there, Grumpy?
Kind of straightens up his back a little bit, getting into a more imposing position. I said, wait your turn.
Well, then take care of your business quickly and get out of my way.
As this exchange is going, you notice that the 2 guards kind of have their, they position themselves with their hands on their weapons. And as you look onward over towards the Orion female and what you presume to be a Valerian, she whispers something in his ear, gives him a gentle kiss on his cheek, and gets up, walks back, smiles at you, and motions for the Orion, Grumpy Orion, to follow. As they kind of brush back the 2 of you and leave.
Hey, they brush past the captain. He'll check his pockets real quick.
Pockets? Starfleet uniforms have pockets?
You gotta have someplace to hide the Type 1 phasers, right?
Fair enough. No, nothing's stolen.
Well, with that particular obstacle being conveniently taken away, captain will look to one of the guards and can I like to open a conversation with Mr. Venn there if I can.
He motions, allowing the guards as they kind of motion to allow you to pass.
The captain will motion for the others to join him, particularly Dr. Hale there, since the poor mobile one.
As you enter, the guards stop the other three.
I guess it's going to be a private conversation.
As the Valerian, opens up a small case, shuffles through it, and takes something out to chew, puts the case back into his pocket or within his coat, leans back in the comfortable chair, which seems like he might be as wedged himself in there for probably a long time. How can I help you, Starfleet?
Well, I am looking to open trade in this sector to help supply a nearby colony, fairly new colony. And it's in its infinite wisdom, the Federation has asked me to come out here to do that. And some of the folks in the crowd pointed me your way as someone who might be able to help me.
I could potentially acquire items that you might need. Do you have a list?
I do, and Brown will pull out a pad and hand it over to the gentleman. Uh, Mostly mining equipment and salvage parts and heavy metals. Nothing that shouldn't be too difficult to acquire for the right businessman.
I should be able to acquire these, but some of them might be a little difficult. When do you need? Will this be an ongoing shipment or a one-time deal?
All right, out of character, Jim. My thought was that this was probably a deal for a fairly routine thing for a while, or is this a one-time thing?
It's a mixture.
A little of both, Mr. Van. Some things we're only going to need to purchase once. Things, construction drones, the security systems, water purification systems, replicator tech. As long as they're quality products, then I shouldn't need to replace those on a regular basis. I wouldn't need to replace equipment I bought from you on a regular basis now, would I?
I'm a distinguished businessman. Captain
Bro.
Pro. I assure you that the goods that I sell to any of my clients is at the most highest quality.
Excellent. I mean, obtaining a good record of trade with the Federation is always profitable, and certainly less than profitable to have a bad reputation in the Federation. And you seem to have a good one anyway, since it's some of our fine citizens that recommended you. I digress. Some of the other things, like the medical supplies, things of that nature, we'll need to set up regular shipments for.
I'm sure we can work out a deal. Now, as I stated, some of these will take considerable time to put together. and it will not come cheap.
Well, let's start with the time. Defined considerable time. The longer the delay, the less I'm willing to pay.
So you need these goods expedited.
Expedited is a strong word. The colony's not in any danger of running out of medical supplies in the immediate future, but substantial delays could be a problem.
I see. Well, the earliest shipments I could hand in a month.
And which items do you anticipate the longest delays for?
Well, the delirium and the Doranites would take the longest. They're in quite high demand these days. In these specific quantities you are requesting, now it will require pulling some strings in certain areas. Ones that you will hopefully be comfortable with. Now, if you require it sooner, I know some other reputable merchants that I might be able to acquire them from. Assuming you're willing to pay for it.
I'd prefer not to break any Federation laws in setting up this deal. It's bad for the career, you understand.
Well, 2 of those items might take a while then. Could be 6 months. The Cardassians have, depleted most of the stores lately.
The Cardassians, really? They didn't get they couldn't get enough of what they needed from strip mining Bajor?
Wouldn't know. Don't really care.
Funny, I would think a merchant like yourself would keep an ear to the ground for that sort of thing so they could be prepared for the needs of potential customers.
I don't pry in my client's business.
Well, that's a good trait in a businessman. But a good businessman also keeps his ear to the ground, watches for trends and patterns. Yes?
Captain Perone, my businesses are confidential. I will not talk my business with a new client, with current clients, unless both parties are willing to mutually discuss with each other. And I'm assure you, my other clients are not interested in divulging their needs to you.
Well, I can't say I'm not surprised. All right. So now, which products again are we talking about the 6-month delay on?
The rare synthetic materials that you need. The heavy duty metals. The rest are fairly easy to get, and they'll take about a month and a half to acquire at least the first shipment quantities of it. And you will expect regular 3-month shipments of those on a regular basis that you need. As I stated, though, the other heavy metals will be difficult to obtain.
I see. And do you handle delivery or do I need to make arrangements?
If we can handle delivery, unless you wish to deal with your own pickup. They can be delivered here or to a specific location of your desirement.
Well, who normally handles your shipping? Or do you do that yourself?
I release it out to certain other reputable clients that you'll have no difficulty in dealing with and no foreseen problems.
Well, that's a relief. The humans in the back corner there. You ever contract with them?
Occasionally.
You might on this job hire them for a run or two. Yeah. I like to already started building a relationship with them. Not a bad thing to fertilize that relationship a little.
If you wish for them to handle your delivery needs, then I can make it so. However, they have not been so reputable recent.
That's not a good sign.
Well, their ship did recently get stopped by a Cardassian vessel. Makes it very difficult. I'm sure you don't want your cargo to be mistaken going to other less reputable individuals.
Yeah, I heard about them running into problems with the Cardassians, and some dashing older Federation captain rescued them. I didn't say give all the shipping business to them. Just throw them a bone, help them get started again. See how they do.
It is your loss. I will not guarantee shipment of the products that you wish to have them shipped to you.
And if you choose the couriers, you guarantee delivery?
Yes.
Well, that's certainly something to think about. So let's talk price, Mr. Venn. What is it that the Federation would be willing to provide in exchange for the goods we need?
200 bricks of gold plus platinum.
All right. Now the player has to. Is there a roll or something the captain can make to see how bad he's getting fleeced here?
Okay, so one brick equals 20 bars. One brick is equivalent to essentially 100,000 Federation credits.
Yeah, I mean, but for the goods we're asking for,
It's in the billions of Federation credits. I'll put it that way.
Okay, but my question is he asking an exorbitant? Because I don't know what these goods are worth.
That's fair.
So I don't know if I'm being if he's trying to rub me blind or what.
Yeah, it's pretty high. um, like it's extremely high, you know, type deal. It's not the realm that Starfleet may be willing to pay, but it's extraordinarily high for what you're getting.
All right, Kevin's gonna lean back a little in his chair and look thoughtful, and then if he's gonna go that high, then the captain, he's not gonna necessarily lowball the guy, but certainly counter with something uh, appropriately below the median cost for these goods.
Huh.
See, that expression right there, Mr. Venn, is exactly what I was thinking when you made your initial offer.
Perhaps you need some time to think on this.
Perhaps you're willing to negotiate. What you're asking is a pretty exorbitant price for, except for the metals, fairly routine products.
I assure you, the majority of that cost is for the metals.
Well, I'm not surprised. It is the most lucrative item on the list. And for a hungry colony, it's on the list of things that we would need more regular shipments of. But not at those prices. You're going to have to bargain and come down a little if you want to set up a regular trade agreement with the Federation for those metals.
Then I'll need some time to figure out where I can acquire these metals from.
Very
We'll speak
well.
again.
My ship is in Docking Bay 94, the Navajo. Let me know when you're ready to bargain and negotiate in good faith, Mr. Ben.
I assure you, I am negotiating in good faith. But you want cheaper. So I have to find other sources for what you need. That takes time.
As from one point of view, cheaper is the right term. From my perspective, overpriced is more accurate.
With that, we're going to head back to the holodeck.
About how long after I sent the queue away?
Not long. We're kind of picking up from where we left off. Give me 1 second here.
How is that name pronounced? Alunia?
Yeah, Alunia. Alunia.
Alunia. Ah, the bar music is still playing, I see.
So is there anything you wish to do with, talk to her about, or?
Yeah, you said you had a.
Yeah. Sorry, I had to refresh the stream page because it wasn't loading in properly, or while transferring the character over. So
Okay, cool. So after she notifies the captain that we have a Q sighting and all that fun stuff. So Alunia, I know there's been a lot of talk around you, and I am sorry for that. But what is it that you ultimately want? I don't think anyone's actually asked you that question.
and why does it matter to you? I heard you were sent here by by Captain Perone.
That's right. But the captain is worried about you. I mean, you spend all your time in the holodeck.
Worry about me? Ridiculous.
Why is that a ridiculous statement?
My question is: your character feeling generally concerned for her, or more just curious?
Probably concerned a bit. Probably both. I'd say 60% concerned, 40 curious.
I don't trust Q, and frankly, me being here, all I want to do is relax and be at peace for once. I nearly died. It was rather disgraceful. And
Given your history with the Q, I certainly don't blame you for not being trusting.
well, and it seems like every planet I go to, someone's trying to kill me. So there. This is the only place where I have some solitude.
So is that what you're really longing for? To be left alone, to be by yourself?
Why do you really care? I sense your curiosity, your concern. For all I know is that Q over there will put me on trial just for his own amusement.
I can't even begin to understand what Q's motivations are or what they want from you. I guess that's why I'm asking you, what is it that you want? So I could certainly understand the need to decompress, the need to unwind, the need to just get away from it all. But you can't do that forever.
Well, forever is a long time. And unlike you, I'm not a fourth dimensional being, so I will at least hear him out, I suppose.
I mean, if you're sure. And Vogel will stand and try to get Q-Vars's attention.
He's down the beach getting something from one of the vendors, so you can see him.
Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of wave and motion to you to come back over.
Okay. He'll come on over. Lieutenant.
Alunia said that she would hear you out, hear your proposal.
Well, Alunia, I'm here, I guess bluntly, to recruit you to the Q Continuum.
Me be a Q? You must be joking.
Hold on. Before you dismiss this, you'd be able to call your own shots. You'd have the same abilities as other Q. You'd bring a new perspective to the continuum.
And follow your rules.
Well, as much as there are any rules, yeah, you'd have to negotiate with other Q and stuff like that. However, you would have an equal say and a similar level of power.
A similar.
You'd be able you'd be able to define what you want to do and how you express that upgrade. It's been a long time since the war.
Yes.
Think of it this way. You know what the Q can do. So there's only so much a Q can do to another Q. And I'm all for other perspectives on things. I mean, the continuum needs to change in some regards. I know it's a lot to process. And I know that there's a prior history, but you'd be in a position to help make sure that kind of thing doesn't happen again.
Don't be ridiculous. Far as I know, this is some other ploy like you've put on my people.
No ploy. I'm straight up here to recruit you.
After all of my supposed crimes that you people, the Q Continuum, judged me for, locked me away, you're now suddenly opening the doors. Hey, come on in and become part of the Continuum.
Prison time served. You've been, as the humans say, released.
Released? Call that released? The Navajo was the one that rescued me from that imprisonment.
Correct. But I'm not here to imprison you.
Well, that's good to know.
And I think the lieutenant here has hit you with an interesting question. What do you want?
Alonia, I can only really say this to you. There are certain times when someone creates their own prisons. They self-impose these restrictions on themselves. I mean, you are presented with an extraordinary opportunity here, I think. I mean, you get to go anywhere. You get to do anything. You don't just have to confine yourself to this beach chair, to this holodeck, and shut yourself off from the universe. You get to go see the universe. You get to perhaps even try to help others not face the injustices you faced. And perhaps you can even make the queue to become better.
Well, I'm not sure about that, but certainly I think there's a lot of validity to what the lieutenant has to say here.
See, you heard him. I don't really have much to offer the Q Continuum.
It's not so much what you can offer them, it's what they can offer you.
I think the lieutenant has the gist of it. But staying in a photon room aboard a Federation starship? No offense, Lieutenant, but it doesn't get any more bad. It doesn't get any more boring than that.
I'm sorry, us lowly humans don't have your level of sophistication when it comes to entertainment.
True, true. I agree with that one. But wisdom comes from unusual places, even here. She speaks the truth. The continuum is in some shifts. Things are happening, and it does create well, I'd say moment of opportunity, but that's often based on perspective. But it applies in this situation right now. There is a moment of opportunity. I wouldn't be here if the queue didn't want you. I mean, trust me, I have better things to do.
Oh, then don't let me keep you waiting.
Well, I agree with the Continuum's offer. I'm not here to pressure. I think if you really give the lieutenant's words some thought, I agree with her. I mean, if it's solitude you want, you could find that anywhere. Inside a brown dwarf, some lonely, far reaching planet, space between galaxies, fourth dimensional eddies. There's a lot of options. That said, sitting around in a photon room seems beneath you.
All right, Q Varus. I don't think you need to continue badgering her.
Fair enough. I leave it back to you, Lieutenant. He'll head on off to the nearby bar that was in the picture. Unless you want me to leave the holodeck. And he's looking at her.
Maybe give her some time to think. Check back later.
Fair enough. I'm sure I can find somewhere else to amuse myself. And he'll exit the holodeck. Oh, before I go, though, good job, Lieutenant. You've got a promising career ahead of you, although I haven't looked into your timeline. Just guessing there. And he'll exit.
Just what I need. A curious Q.
A troubling species.
He did make a lot of good points, though.
You wouldn't be so kind to me if you knew exactly what I've done in the past.
It's not your past that I'm concerned or worried about. The only thing I really care about is your future. That's the only thing you should be worried about, too. Your future. The past has already happened. The past is behind us. We can't change the past. We can't change our past actions. There's only the things that we can control. The things that we could do right now. I don't know if you sitting here is what you feel is some just deserved punishment for your past. But you have to get over that.
I suppose. And as you start shaking, the whole hall deck begins to shake. The sand rumbles, the pool starts, vibrating as the waves get stronger and stronger, and then you hear the red alert sirens.
What the hell's going on? I'm going to go to a computer console and see what the red alert is about.
As you go over to the red alert or the console to see what the red alert is about, you suddenly find yourself back on the bridge with everyone present. And your kilometer reads 6 hours ago.
Do I remember all of that?
You do.
Okay, everyone. Tell me that I'm not crazy. And we've all experienced the next 6 hours.
I can't with any scientific certainty say that, but I don't think we can entirely rule it out either.
All right. Mr. Vogel, verify our chronometers to the closest Starfleet beacon. Commander Rye, scan for chronoton particles and other things associated with time travel.
Captain, can I speak to you in private, please?
Of course. Mr. Azanon, you have the con.
Hi, Captain.
Oh, and Mr. Azanon, while I'm gone, see what you can find out about that Mr. Venn that we met or are about to meet.
Hi, Captain.
And Prone will lead Miss Baxter back to his ready room again, or for the first time.
And with that, I think we will close the session out.
You're